to be a criminal. Not at all. Not to begin with. Alright, she was completely, totally desperate. Now, like I said, I was leaving links down the bottom if you want to investigate it yourself. You can go to her YouTube. And let me describe to you a brief story, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. A brief story of what happened to this lady. She came from Detroit. Her name is Sky Mims, changed it to Yo Sky. Came from Detroit, and she was like, I'm going to be a dang world-famous rapper, singer, dancer, whatever. Alright, and you could tell she started off with a decent amount of views. She started off with a decent amount of budget. You know, like a decent amount. She managed to shoot 1 or 2 music videos. You know, she managed to get herself living in the suburbs somehow. She was doing shows here and there. Alright, so it started off alright. Then what you're going to notice is, it seems pretty obvious that she was getting into prostitution via social networking. Alright? And it's sick and it's kind of disgusting. It's real disgusting. But it's not exactly rare to see this happen. In fact, it's kind of glorified in pop culture music, is to, you know, literally prostitute yourself out, or have prostitutes if you're a lady nowadays, which is very weird. Alright, but like I said, it seems as though she got into prostitution a little bit. She's the kind of girl who, I mean, she could be decently attractive and make a fine lady for somebody, but she's not a model at all, not in any way and stuff. So, you know, she always had that complex. She was always wearing like Chinese hair or white people's hair up in on her head, and you know, staying all trying to look very cool and casual, and you know, very not black. She was trying to look as not black as she could, and she's doing a rap thing and all that, and you know, and she realized pretty soon that she was not getting any views, or she had to realize that she wasn't putting up any numbers. She wasn't making any money, any real money. She's gonna have to move out of the suburbs and things like that. Stuff is not going well for her, you can tell. And as time progresses, you see clearly in her YouTube channel, she does run out of money. I mean, she ran out of extensions money. You could, by the time like her second little drop came out, she didn't have money for extensions. She kind of looked totally different. She kind of looked exactly normal, or not really normal, because she has plenty of videos, and there's a video about, it's called Music and Makeup. If you check that one out, you could see that what she tended to do is she had a makeup artist, and they would paint a completely different face on her face. So she looked alright, but the thing is, they painted a completely different face over her face. Her original face kind of looked rough. But, you know, there's no need to go into that too much. Anyway, she was losing all sort of money. You know, she wasn't bringing it in. She was rapping and singing about having all sort of money, and, like, you know, maybe being a prostitute and things like that. You could tell that she did have a love in her life, and that love in her life did not want her at all. Completely shook her off, and it broke her heart. And so she got into prostitution and things, and she was trying to be as sexy and fashionable as she could. She wasn't. In fact, you'll see in the channel towards the end, she creates her own fashion line called something fresh, obsessed fresh. Obsessed was the word. Obsessed fresh, and also fancy living or something. These were fashion lines that she created. Like I said, this lady is desperate as all hell. Fashion lines. Right? Her fashion lines consisted of this, and you're going to see clearly in the dang channel. A jacket. She just bought a jacket and put letters on it, man. Anybody could do that. Anybody. She's sitting around like, oh, this is my new fashion line. It's a jacket that you bought and put letters on. What the hell are you talking about? And then you see her fancy living was a shirt, and it like said fancy living or something. It's like, dude, you bought a shirt and you put letters on it. It's your fashion line? This lady was desperate, and she was dumb as hell. There was no kind of, she didn't ever mention Jesus. You could tell Jesus was not in her life. You could tell, from what I understand, her father was around at a certain point, but her father was not shit at all. I mean, you could see the road that she was taking. Alright, clearly in the YouTube channel alone, you could see the road she was going down. Alright, and I said this kind of hits a little bit close to home for me in the way that we're similar. Our YouTube channels are at least similar. We don't put up very good numbers, things like that. I have terrible audio, and I gotta work on that. And at the same time, you know, a person from the outside, an outsider's perspective, they can look at the channel and think, you know, damn, I think this person's crazy. I think this person's crazy. I know that when I was looking at the videos, I was like, you know, dang, where's this girl's family? Right? Her family can't see clearly that she's goddamn losing her mind. Right? And then do something about it, maybe like try and get her some help and stuff. And, you know, I don't know the answer to that, but at the same time, yeah, I do know the answer to that. Her family didn't care at all and wasn't even watching the channel. They had no kind of concern or interest in this girl. And that would lead her down a bad path and a suicidal path. They don't really care about it. And I gotta say, you know, personally, and I'm not trying, you know, woe is me or whatever, what you would call family, shoot, they don't hardly watch these videos either. Alright, so potentially if I was going all crazy nutballs and putting out videos displaying my crazy nutball nature, and you know what I'm saying, my family wouldn't be able to see it and say, hey, somebody stop this dude, man. He's going off the tracks right here. Alright, they wouldn't be able to do it. Right? And, you know, luckily I'm not losing it. That's not the whole point of this. But the only reason, I have to express to you, the only reason that I'm not going off the rails and wilding out like this lady Sky Mims, stabbing a clerk to death for lottery tickets, dropping my cell phone all stupid, the really only reason for that is Jesus Christ and the fact that he won the battle a long time ago. If I just jump on his side, it's a done deal and stuff. Yeah, it is very tribulating. No, it will not give you prosperity on earth necessarily. You know what I mean? I mean, prosperity church. It's ridiculous. It's completely retarded. Alright? Just touch briefly on it and stuff. You got your Joel Osteen, got all your fake Christians out there, you know, and it's not going to do you no good. Ain't nothing about prosperity written about in the Bible as far as Jesus promising you any sort of good life on earth, and that's not even the point. Alright? You might remember John the Baptist. That was Jesus' cousin. You know what I'm saying? Jesus left him in a jail cell and didn't even come visit him. And also did not save him from getting his head chopped off, alright? That's real talk. I mean, it's not about the life that you live here. You have to remember that it's what's waiting for you afterwards. And when you can remember what's waiting for you, what's been promised to you, if you just hold on, that's what keeps you holding on. You know what I'm saying? That's what keeps you from losing it. Because you understand that, yeah, you're going to suffer a lot of hardships here. A lot of bad things are going to happen to you. A lot of setbacks going to happen to you here. It's not even about that. It's about over there. It's about after this. Anyways, there's a lady named Sky Mims. She just got sentenced. I guess maybe not too recently. She got sentenced to life in prison. You know, looking all sort of crazy and stuff. And I thought I would bring her up to you. You find it pretty interesting. I mean, I can't say that she was a narcissist, but you can assume that she most likely was a narcissist. You know what I'm saying? I mean, with the video camera just looking at her stuff. I mean, that's a pretty narcissist thing to do. Post it up on the dang YouTube, and it didn't even make no sense. Anyways, shoot, that was the first story. Alright, we gotta move on. I want to talk to y'all. I want to talk to y'all about what many people will refer to as small town podunk backwoods folks. Alright, I've already been long established that backwoods podunk small town folks, they can be just as retarded as anybody else. They really can be. And in fact, you know, lots of times the way they come off is very simple. People, and they are, alright? And what I want to say about them is that is the group of people who I personally feel most comfortable around, alright? That's my kind of people, alright, if I had to choose. And it has a lot to do with why I live where I live. It's a small town, Big Spring, Texas, alright? That being established, I got a story to bring to y'all. In fact, it's a twofer. It's a twofer story, because they're kind of related in that they both have something to do with you know, small town podunk folks like I was talking about. You know, real simple folks, and how, you know, they're getting misunderstood all over the place, and I'm going to go ahead and clear that up for you in case if you had any sort of concerns about that. Alright? So I got a couple examples right now, and I'm going to see about leaving the appropriate links. You can go ahead and follow up on this. The first one is this. It's from an ABC affiliate from out of like the Killeen Temple, Waco area, which isn't all that far from this area right here. Alright? This is an ABC News affiliate, and they're covering some sort of parade that they were having in Amarillo. A lot of y'all might be aware of it. Amarillo, Texas. Amarillo by morning. Amarillo's where I'll be. Alright? Small town. Alright, they were having a parade. And apparently in this parade, it caused some social media controversy. Probably didn't cause much controversy on site in Amarillo. You know, I'm willing to bet you it didn't. But on social media, it caused some backlash. There was a parade, and there was a float in the parade. And that float was made by a group called the Stars and Bars. What is it called? Shoot. By the Stars and Bars group, whoever that is, you know. Apparently, I mean, you could assume they're talking about the American flag, perhaps the Confederate flag as well. And they were alongside another group called the Confederate Riders of America. Now, obviously, if you go to the link, there's going to be an article, but you're going to also see a video. And it was a representative of one of these groups talking about why they made the float of Obama, President Obama, in prison. Alright? Because he's a damn criminal. And also, they had Hillary Clinton alongside him in the prison on the float because she's a damn criminal. Alright? So, I mean, as simple as these folks are, they do understand that criminals deserve to go to jail, and so they decided to make a statement and put it on a float. Alright? I can assume that everybody on site loved the float. Right? Social networking, you know how it works. Some people got a hold of it and they got offended by this. And you're going to see a video of that too in the link below, of a man named Rodney Darns, if you're going to call him a man. A grown adult male. I mean, he had some stuff to say about it. What he said about because he was completely offended. Here's what he said. He said a lot of people in the black and Hispanic community, I don't know why he brought in Hispanics into this, but black and Hispanic community are saying, why would you put a black man in a cage? Alright, he's referring to the president, alright, who everybody knows. First of all, he ain't even black, really. He's half black, alright? But that's beside the point. This dude is implying something with what he's saying. He said, why would you put a black man in a cage? Basically, to put it another way, what he was saying is, why would you hold a man accountable for his actions even though he has black skin? Very light black skin. Alright, he said, why would you hold him accountable for his actions? Why would you put him in a cage? What, you want to take it back to slavery days? That's what Rodney Darnes was saying. You're saying, what, do you want to take it back to slavery? Are you saying all black people should belong in cages and be slaves? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're implying? He was asking that. That was a question he was asking. Alright? And you can assume it was a rhetorical one. Because I could easily give you an answer. Why would you put a black man in a cage? Because his name is Barack Obama, a damn criminal. And that's where he belongs, in a cage. There's the answer to your question. Apparently nobody could answer him or something like that. Either that or it was a rhetorical question. He then goes on to say this. Rodney Darnes. I'm sorry about that. Rodney Darnes goes on to then say, the fact that Hillary, who's clearly Hillary Clinton on the float, the fact that Hillary isn't afloat while she's in prison, behind prison bars, only sets the women's movement further back. That's what Rodney Darnes said. He said this, and then he said that. He rattled them off. He said, the fact that Hillary Clinton is in prison on your dang float only sets the women's movement farther back. Implying that anyone who thinks Hillary Clinton, who is a clear, obvious criminal, should be in jail, well, you know what? They want women in bondage. Obviously. Right? This is what Rodney Darnes is implying with his two questions. That if you believe these two clearly cut criminals belong in jail, well then, you want black people as slaves and you want to slap around women. And he's outraged. He's offended by this. I want to go in on it for a second. First of all, Rodney Darnes is retarded. There's a lot of people who are retarded. There's a lot of people who are just dumb. There's a lot of people who are just slow. There's a lot of people who are mentally handicapped who live in something of a different world than everybody else. This is established, right? They should all be able to allowed to roam free. But after a certain point of retardation, the point where you're so retarded that you're actually subversive to the country that you live in. That your retardation becomes contagious through social networking. You're delivering viruses to folks and making them retarded, just as retarded as you, because of your rhetoric, because of your rhetorical questions that you're asking. You're so retarded that, in my humble opinion, I believe you should be deported out of the country. Whatever country you want to, get the hell up out of here, alright? We don't need you around. I mean, really, honestly, I would say put you in prison, but you know, people will get offended by that. Alright, I'm not trying to be violent on you, but get up out of the country, please. Your retardation is setting the country back. You're really going back to the dark ages. Alright, it's disgusting. So, you could tell that, me personally, I don't know about y'all, but I'm kind of a fan of segregation, in that if you're so damn retarded, that it's possible you're going to make me more retarded. And you can't shut your mouth. Well, maybe you should get deported. And at the same time, dude, I got to call out the ABC News affiliate, because I understand you're trying to be unbiased. You're trying to give both points of view, and you did. But at the same time, you know, you are giving credibility to Rodney Darnes. You're giving the slightest bit of credibility to him. I mean, I don't mind that you put out Rodney Darnes in your article, just to show the second side, but after you show Rodney Darnes completely making a damn fool out of himself, as a news, outlet, what you should then do if you're responsible is say that he's a goddamn retard. He needs to get up out of here. Right? And so, in that way, I personally hold you accountable. I mean, honestly, I only listen to people who are admittedly biased when it comes to the news. You have to be admittedly biased for me to even care what you're saying, to make you legitimate in my eyes. So ABC News affiliate and Colleen, they ought to get deported. They should get prosecuted and deported. But anyways, let's go on to the second story. All right, another small town. This is in Minnesota. It's nowhere near me. But, as you can imagine, you know, small town folks, real simple. They just want to work and have a family and kind of live pretty wholesomely, for the most part. Alright, a little town in Minnesota. Apparently there's some stabbings that took place in Minnesota and things like that, and apparently it's from Muslim people. Alright? Muslim people did it. These people in Lonsdale, they got a little bit concerned by that, especially a man named Dan Rudinger, and he owns a restaurant. It's called Treats. And I'm leaving a link below. You can go check it out. It's from the CBS affiliate in Minnesota. Now, Dan Rudinger, from Lonsdale, a town you probably never heard of, small town. He owns a restaurant called Treats, and on the marquee, what he put was, Muslims, get out. Don't want you here. don't want you in my restaurant. Alright? And there was some people got offended. We're going to discuss them in a second.